In 1855, I discovered a language in my dreams that no one could understand. Until now, when a hidden truth unlocked its secrets and changed everything. In the quiet village of Eldwood, 1855, I was a boy of 12, known for my vivid dreams. Every night, my mind spun tales of strange lands and whispered words in a tongue no one knew. My mother, a seamstress, thought them childish fancies, but I felt they held meaning. The words came like a river, flowing through my sleep, clear yet incomprehensible. I'd wake with fragments on my tongue, scribbling them in a tattered journal. Villagers called me odd, but I couldn't stop. The language felt alive, urging me to listen. By lamplight, I traced its curves, unlike any script I'd seen. It wasn't Latin, Greek, or anything in Father Thomas's books. Each night, the dreams grew stronger, pulling me deeper. I saw glowing symbols in the sky, heard voices chanting softly. My heart raced with purpose, but fear crept in too. What was this language? Why me? My father, a blacksmith, scoffed at my obsession, saying dreams were for fools. But I couldn't let go. The words felt like a key to something vast. I began sneaking to the village library, a dusty room above the baker's shop. Old tomes spoke of lost tongues, but none matched mine. I pored over maps, hoping to find a clue. The librarian, Miss Harrow, watched me with pity, thinking I was chasing shadows. One night, a dream showed me a stone tablet, carved with my symbols. It stood in a desert, under stars that moved like dancers. I woke trembling, the image burned in my mind. I sketched it furiously, my hands shaking. The language was no longer just sounds, it was a call. I felt it pulling me somewhere far. But where? And how could I follow? At school, I was distracted, muttering the strange words under my breath. My teacher, Mr. Grayson, caught me and sent me home with a note. My parents argued that night, their voices sharp through the walls. Mother worried I was losing my mind. Father wanted to burn my journal. I hid it under my floorboard, my only treasure. The dreams began to change, showing me faces, people in robes, speaking my language. They seemed to know me, their eyes kind but urgent. I started to feel they were real, not just figments. One night, I dreamed of a city of spires, its streets alive with my words. I woke with a phrase stuck in my head. Sola veritas lumini est. It wasn't Latin, but it felt true. I wrote it down, my heart pounding. Was this a message? I began to notice patterns in the language, repeating sounds that felt like music. I'd hum them while fetching water, ignoring the stares of neighbors. One day, an old traveler passed through Eldwood, a man with eyes like storm clouds. He heard me muttering and stopped, his face pale. He asked to see my journal, but I refused, clutching it tight. He whispered of a forgotten people, lost to time, who spoke in dreams. His words chilled me. He knew something. Before I could ask more, he left, vanishing down the road. That night, my dream showed me his face, speaking my language. He pointed to a mountain, its peak glowing faintly. I woke gasping, certain it was real. I had to find that place, no matter the cost. My parents grew stricter, locking me in at night, to stop my wanderings. But the dreams were my escape, each one clearer, more vivid. I saw a temple now, its walls etched with my symbols. Figures moved inside, chanting in unison, their voices like a tide. I felt they were waiting for me, but why? I started sneaking out, climbing through my window to roam the fields. Under the stars, I'd whisper the words, hoping for answers. One night, I found a stone in the river, smooth and carved with a single symbol from my dreams. It was real, tangible proof. My hand shook as I held it, my mind racing. The language wasn't just in my head. It was out there, somewhere. I showed the stone to Miss Harrow, hoping she'd help. She frowned, turning it over, and said it looked ancient. She lent me a book on lost civilizations, but it held no answers. The dreams grew urgent, showing me a path through a forest I didn't know. I began to draw maps from memory, piecing together fragments. My parents found them and thought I was planning to run away. They weren't wrong. I felt the pull growing stronger. One night, I dreamed of a woman, her voice soft, speaking my language. She called me keeper and said the truth was near. I woke crying, her words echoing. Find the gate. What gate? Where was it? The village began to whisper about me, calling me cursed. I didn't care. The language was my world now. I started teaching myself to write it fluently, filling pages with its flowing script. Each symbol felt like a piece of a puzzle, but I couldn't see the whole. One day, a letter arrived from a scholar in London, sent by Miss Harrow. He'd heard of my stone and wanted to see it. I refused, fearing he'd take it. My dreams showed me a warning, a hand stealing the stone, darkness following. I hid it in the woods, buried under an oak. That night, I dreamed of a door in a cliff, glowing with my symbols. I knew I had to find it, no matter what. I began to prepare, stealing bread and a knife from home. My parents noticed my absence, but I was too far gone. The dreams were relentless, showing me a journey across seas. I'd never left Eldwood, yet I felt ready to go anywhere. One night, I dreamed of a ship, its sails marked with my language. A man stood at the helm, beckoning me aboard. I woke with a name in my mind, Eloria. Was it a place? A person? I didn't know, but it burned in me. I snuck to the library, searching for maps of distant lands. Miss Harrow caught me, her eyes kind but worried. She gave me a coin, saying, "Be careful, child." I nodded, my heart set on the journey. I left Eldwood at dawn, my journal and stone in a sack. The road was cold, the air sharp with autumn. I walked for days, following the path from my dreams. Villagers I passed thought me a runaway, but I didn't stop. The language guided me, its words humming in my chest. I reached a port town, its docks alive with ships. One had sails like those in my dream, marked with faint symbols. I hid in its hold, trembling but determined. As the ship sailed, I felt the language grow louder, like a song. My dream showed me a coastline, cliffs rising high. I knew I was close. The stone in my sack felt warm, alive. The ship docked at a strange land, its air thick with salt and heat. I slipped ashore, my heart pounding with purpose. The cliffs from my dreams loomed ahead, carved with my symbols. I climbed, the stone guiding me like a compass. At the top, I found a door in the rock, just as I'd seen. My hands shook as I traced its carvings, the language singing in my blood. I spoke the words from my dreams, and the door opened. Inside was a chamber, lit by glowing stones. A figure waited, robed and ancient, speaking my language. They called me the Keeper, the one chosen to carry the truth. My journey had just begun. The figure led me through tunnels, their walls alive with my symbols. They spoke of Eloria, a civilization lost to time, its language preserved in dreams. I was chosen, they said, to bring it back. My heart swelled with purpose, but doubt lingered. Why me, a boy from Eldwood? The figure showed me a pool, its water reflecting stars I'd seen in dreams. They said the language held truths about the world, hidden for centuries. I touched the water, and visions flooded me. Cities, wars, a sky of fire. The words I dreamed were keys to this knowledge. I felt small, yet part of something vast. The figure gave me a scroll, written in my language. It was mine to protect. I spent days in the chamber, learning from the figure, who called themselves a guardian. They taught me to read the scroll, its words unlocking memories, not my own. I saw Eloria's fall, its people scattering as their city burned. The language was their legacy, meant to survive through me. Each night, I dreamed of their lives, their joys, their pain. The guardian said I'd carry this to the world, but I feared I wasn't ready. The stone in my sack glowed faintly now, tied to the scroll. I practiced the language, my voice growing strong. But outside, the world felt far away. Could I return to Eldwood? Did I want to? The guardian spoke of a gate, the one for my dreams, hidden in the cliffs. It led to Eloria's ruins, where answers waited. I hesitated, fearing what I'd find. The language was part of me now, but its weight was heavy. One night, I dreamed of my mother, her face worried. Guilt stabbed me. I'd left without a word, but the guardian urged me on, saying the gate was my destiny. I memorized the scroll, its words a map to the gate. The stone pulsed as I spoke them, guiding my steps. I left the chamber, the guardian's eyes on me. The cliffs loomed, dark and silent. I whispered the words, and a path appeared. The gate was real, carved into the rock, its symbols glowing faintly. I spoke the phrase from my dreams, Sola Veritas Lumen Est, and it opened. Beyond was a city, crumbled but alive with echoes. My language filled the air, spoken by shadows of Eloria's people. They showed me their lives, their knowledge, their end. I walked their streets, the stone warm in my hand. The scroll's words guided me to a temple, its altar glowing. I placed the stone there, and light erupted, filling my mind with truths. Eloria's science, its art, its warnings, they flooded me. I fell to my knees, overwhelmed. I was their voice now. Days passed in the ruins, or maybe years. Time felt strange. The shadows taught me their ways, their words becoming mine. I wrote their stories in my journal, filling pages with their lives. The language was no longer a mystery. It was my purpose. But I missed home, the smell of my mother's bread, my father's gruff voice. The shadows urged me to return, to share their truth. I resisted, fearing the world wouldn't listen. One night, I dreamed of Eldwood, its fields green under the sun. The stone pulsed, urging me back. I knew I couldn't stay forever. The gate glowed, ready to lead me home. I took a final look at Eloria, my heart heavy. I stepped through the gate, emerging in the cliffs under a starry sky. The scroll and stone were with me, their way to comfort. I sailed back, hiding on another ship, my mind full of Eloria. The language sang in me, its truths clear now. I reached Eldwood at dawn, a stranger to my own home. My parents wept when they saw me, thinking I'd died. I showed them the scroll, but they didn't understand. Miss Harrow did, her eyes wide with wonder. She helped me copy the symbols, sending them to scholars. Word spread, and soon, people came to see me. I spoke Eloria's language, sharing its story. Some listened, others called me mad. The scholars arrived, their faces stern but curious. They studied the scroll, the stone, my journal. They couldn't deny the language's age, its complexity. I told them of Eloria, its rise and fall, its truths. Some believed, others scoffed, but the language spoke for itself. I began to teach it, writing books in Eldwood's library. The words flowed easily now, like a river unbound. Villagers stopped calling me cursed. They called me the dreamer. I dreamed less now, but when I did, Eloria's shadows thanked me. The stone stayed with me, a reminder of my purpose. I was no longer just a boy. I was their keeper. Years passed, and Eloria's language spread, studied in cities far from Eldwood. I stayed in the village, teaching those who came. The scroll was copied, sent to universities, its truths debated. Some called it myth, but I knew better. The stone still glowed faintly, tied to me. I dreamed of the guardians sometimes, their voice proud. My parents grew old, their worries replaced with pride. Miss Harrow became my friend, helping me write. The language changed me, gave me purpose. But I wondered about the gate. Could others find it? I kept its location secret, fearing misuse. Eloria's truths were mine to protect. One night, a scholar from London came, claiming he'd cracked the language. He hadn't. He'd only scratched the surface. I showed him the scroll, spoke the words, and he wept. The language was alive, he said, a bridge to the past. I nodded, feeling Eloria in my bones. I began to travel, sharing the language with those who'd listen. Cities welcomed me, their halls filled with curious minds. I spoke of Eloria's warnings, greed, war, loss. Some listened, others turned away. The stone guided me, its warmth my compass. I was no longer alone. The language connected me to others. I was its voice, its keeper. Back in Eldwood, I built a school, teaching Eloria's language to children. They learned quickly, their eyes bright with wonder. The village changed, no longer just a dot on a map. Scholars visited, bringing books and questions. I answered what I could, but some truths stayed mine. The stone rested on my desk, a silent guide. My dreams were quiet now, but Eloria lived in me. I wrote its history, filling volumes with its story. The language was no longer a secret, it was a gift. I felt the guardian's presence, their approval. My life was theirs now, and I was content. Eldwood was home, but Eloria was my soul. As I aged, the language became my legacy, taught across continents. Scholars built on my work, finding traces of Eloria in ancient texts. The stone never left my side, its glow a constant reminder. I dreamed rarely now, but when I did, the shadows thanked me. My school grew, filled with voices speaking Eloria's tongue. I wrote a final book, detailing my journey from Eldwood to the gate. It became a beacon for dreamers like me. The village honored me, naming a street after the boy who dreamed. I smiled, knowing it was Eloria's victory. The language lived, its truths alive. My heart was full, my purpose clear. I was ready for what came next. One night, I dreamed of the gate again, its symbols brighter than ever. The guardian appeared, saying my task was done. They showed me Eloria, rebuilt in the mind of those I taught. I woke with tears, the stone cold for the first time. I knew my time was near, but I wasn't afraid. The language would outlive me, carried by others. I gave the stone to a student, a girl with eyes like mine. She promised to protect it, to keep Eloria alive. I wrote a final letter to my parents, thanking them. The scroll rested in the school safe. My dreams were quiet now, my work complete. I felt Eloria's peace. The world changed, but Eloria's language endured, a thread through time. Scholars found ruins matching my descriptions, proving my story. I was too old to travel, but I read their letters, smiling. The stone's new keeper visited, her voice strong with the language. She spoke of new discoveries, new truths. I listened, proud, knowing I'd played my part. My journal, now a relic, sat in a museum. People came to see it, to hear my story. I stayed in Eldwood, watching the stars. The language hummed in me, a quiet song. I was content, my life woven with Eloria's. The gate was closed, but its light remained. My health faded, but my mind stayed sharp, filled with Eloria's words. Students visited, reading my books aloud. Their voices were my legacy, carrying the language forward. I told them of the guardian, the gate, the city. They believed, their eyes wide with wonder. The stone's keeper wrote to me, saying she'd found another tablet. It bore my symbols, proof of Eloria's reach. I smiled, knowing the truth was spreading. My dreams were rare now, but peaceful. I saw my mother in them, her face soft. The language was my gift to the world. I was ready to rest, my task done. Eloria lived on. One evening, I sat by the river, the same one where I found the stone. The water sparkled, reflecting stars I'd seen in dreams. I spoke the language softly, its words a comfort. A child approached, asking about my journal. I told her of Eloria, her eyes bright with curiosity. She promised to learn the language, to keep it alive. I gave her my old pen, a small token. The stone's keeper sent a letter, saying the language was taught in schools now. I felt Eloria's presence, its truth safe. My heart was light, my journey complete. The stars above seemed to nod, approving. I was at peace. The village held a festival, celebrating the language's spread. Children sang Eloria's words, their voices clear and strong. I watched from my chair, too weak to stand. The stone's keeper came, showing me a new scroll she'd found. It matched mine, its symbols perfect. Scholars spoke of Eloria as fact now, not myth. I smiled, knowing I'd bridged their world to ours. My journal was read aloud, its pages worn but alive. The language was no longer mine alone, it belonged to all. I felt the guardian's hand on my shoulder, unseen but real. My life's work was done. I was ready to go. That night, I dreamed of Eloria one last time, its spires gleaming. The shadows welcomed me, calling me keeper. The guardian stood before me, their face serene. They said the language was safe, its truths eternal. I walked their streets, feeling no pain. The stone glowed in my hand, then faded, its work done. I saw the gate, open and bright. I stepped through, knowing I'd return to the stars. The language sang in me, a final gift. I woke briefly, my room quiet. Eldwood slept, but Eloria lived. I closed my eyes, content. My journey was over. The village mourned me, but I felt no sadness in my final moments. The language was my legacy, carried by thousands now. The stone's keeper wrote of new discoveries, new ruins. Eloria was no longer a dream, it was history. My books filled libraries, my words taught in schools. The scroll rested in a museum, beside my journal. Children spoke Eloria's tongue, their voices a chorus. I saw my mother's face in my last dream, smiling. The guardian stood beside her, nodding. The language had bridged worlds, just as they'd hoped. I let go, my heart full. Eloria was alive forever. Years later, they say my story became legend, told by firesides. The language spread, uniting scholars and dreamers. The stone's keeper found the gate, keeping its secret safe. Eloria's ruins were studied, its truths shaping minds. My journal inspired others to chase their dreams, to listen to whispers. The language was taught in universities, its symbols on flags. Eldwood became a pilgrimage site, my school its heart. The stars I'd seen in dreams were mapped, named for Eloria. I was gone, but my purpose lived. The guardian's voice echoed in me proud. The language was eternal, my gift to the world. Now in 1855, I am a memory, but Eloria's language thrives. The stone rests with its keeper, glowing faintly. The gate is hidden, but its truths are not. Scholars build on my work, finding new pieces of Eloria. Children dream of its spires, their minds open. My journal is read, its pages worn but cherished. The language connects past to present, a bridge I built. I was the boy who dreamed, the keeper of a lost truth. My story lives in every word spoken, every symbol written. Eloria is no longer lost. Its light shines, and I am at peace. The language is yours now. Carry it forward. If you were captivated by this journey, subscribe to our channel for more stories that uncover hidden truths and spark wonder.